Rolling.
Today is June 26, 2026. I am interviewing James Farmerie at the Butler VA Medical Center. Mr. Farmerie is 55 years of age and was born on June 1, 1971. My name is Chuck Jennings, the interviewer. I'm being assisted by George Richardson, the videographer. Mr. Farmerie, what branch of service were you in?
United States Navy,
And where did you serve?
Operation Restore Hope,
And what was the highest rank you achieved?
E3.
Before we get into your military experience, let's start back at high school. Where'd you grow up at?
I grew up in Etna, PA, and graduated from Shaler Area High School.
So, did you play sports in high school? What did you do in high school? What was going on?
High school, mostly, I did Little League, little volleyball, even though I'm short, I did that, intramurally. But really, I was more involved in being with my recruiter. I joined the Navy in a delayed entry program. So my last year of high school was mostly kind of ingratiating myself into, military life with what he could, provide us.
Why did you decide to go with the Navy, or what was it, Navy recruiter just came in one day and?
It's actually a funny story. I failed first grade, so I was 18 when I graduated my junior year of high school. So at that time, my parents really couldn't afford college for me. So I knew I wanted to be in medical field in some capacity, but we couldn't afford to go to school. So I first went to the Air Force because I knew that they had medical. Well, in high school, in junior year, I had long hair and a jean jacket. They first looked at me and said, "Sir, you're not Air Force material. Maybe go to the Marine Corps." It's a true story. So I went to the Marine Corps. I went to them and told them exactly what I did. In high school, I went to high school half the time, and then I went to a VOTEC school called A.W. Beatty for health occupations. So I said I wanted to become something in the medical field, maybe an EMT or something. The Marine smiled and he says, "You know what, I'd love to have you, but you know what, you're more better fitted for the Navy." So off to my third recruiter. This is all just in an afternoon bouncing around McKnight Road. So I finally get to the Navy guy, and he's like, "Oh my God, we have this program called Corpman," and he showed me it, and I just fell in love with it. And so I joined right then and there. I was 18. My parents didn't even know. I didn't tell them till the end of the summer, and they weren't very happy. But they were supportive after a while. So
Once you got signed the papers and did your physical, where were you off to from there?
I went from high school to Great Lakes, Illinois for boot camp. And my A school was also in Great Lakes, so I didn't have to move very far from there.
So go into some of your experience at boot camp. Did you have to jump off a high thing to learn how to get off a ship? Go over some of your experiences.
Boot camp was an eye-opener for me for a fact that I didn't do JROTC. I knew nothing about the military except for what my recruiter told me. So I went in there, and the very first night, very scared, we're all in the barracks together. The next day we were instructed to shave. Well, I shaved, but I didn't shave my mustache off. And yes, I know that look. Well, I came back out, and luckily the recruits were like, you can't have a mustache. This is boot camp. So that was my first taste of boot camp. But the biggest memory, honestly, was when I went in, like right after high school. I went in June 25th, 1990. So while in boot camp, the Gulf War hit. It started in August. So it hit right in boot camp. And boot camp was pretty easy, I thought, from there on. But then around 3 o'clock in the morning one morning, just like from the movies, the guys, and drill instructors came in with garbage cans and a bat. were banging it, screaming at us, telling us to get to attention, and they threw all these newspapers in the middle of our barracks, and they said, go pick that up. Well, we're all out of our bed, scared. We're in our underwear, just standing at attention. He goes, that's a direct order. Pick those papers up. So we pick them up. We didn't look at them. We were still too scared. He goes, now read the headline. And we pulled it up slowly, read it. It said, America at War. And all of us just slowly lowered that, put our heads down. He goes, that's right. It's now real. And I remember him distinctly saying, yeoman up. And our little yeoman come running, keys dangling all over. And he goes, open up the rifle cage. To this point, we've never trained with rifles because we didn't have to. Well, that changed everything. We marched from 3:15, 3:20 in the morning until about 5:30, showered, marched to chow with the rifles. So it got a lot harder. But it's just a funny memory because you think that won't happen, but it did happen. And then right when we were graduating boot camp, our drill instructor sat us down about 2 days before graduating, almost talking to us as equals. We're not quite there yet, but he goes, let me just tell you all guys, from here you're all going to A school. He goes, after A school, the Navy's going to give you R&R, rest and relaxation. He goes, all you guys go home, have fun, not too much fun. He goes, but who are the corpsmen here? Raise your hands. And so the few of us that were corpsmen raised our hands. He goes, you guys aren't going home after A school. We're like, what? He goes, no, the Navy's paying an all-exclusive vacation to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and you're going to go train with the Marines. We're like, what? We're in the Navy. None of us corpsmen knew that we supplied the Marines with medical. We were just about to graduate, and none of us knew that. Our recruiters really didn't give us maybe all the information needed. But we thought, well, why not, And so, yeah, we graduated A school, which honestly wasn't too difficult for me because of high school. I had A.W. Beatty, Health Occupations 1 and 2, so anatomy and physiology was pretty easy for me. So I really helped other kids to get through it. And then we went to North Carolina to train with the Marines. And I thought boot camp in the Navy was difficult. This was extremely hard. I've never been under so much duress in my life. They trained you how to be a combat medic under severe combat situations, night ops with flares, helicopter evacs, mass triage. I learned how to put in sutures, chest tubes, IVs, all by being shot at, simulated, but it sure felt real. But that training truly came in handy when we ended up deploying with the Marines.
At A school, did you spend time putting needles in to draw blood quite a bit?
Yeah. In A school, in corpsman school, I got. What's nice is, at the time we had 110 film, so we photographed a lot of stuff, and they didn't care. So I have some great pictures of us all just sitting around practicing IV starts and stuff, because I felt like I had to jump on it because I was kind of used to it, and I did a little bit of that in high school. So that came natural in starting IVs and all that stuff. I love hands-on stuff, and honestly, the reason why I'm in medicine is because my mom, when I was growing up, both my parents were steel mill workers, lost their jobs, but they reinvented themselves. And my mom became a CNA, a certified nurse aide, and I loved what she did, and I got my compassionate side to help people from her. And my dad just worked for the Burler VA, and I learned hard work from him, just compassion from her and extreme hard work from my father. So.
In Corps school, did you anything else stand particularly in your mind?
Well, I did have trouble one time during an inspection. This is maybe a cautionary tale, but don't ask people to stand in for you if you're going to go on vacation, like leave A school to go on leave. when you don't really have permission. So I did do that, which was really stupid. I'm in A school, and I asked, we failed a room inspection, which we always got room inspections. And then if you fail, you have to stand for the weekend. Well, I already bought tickets. I tried to explain that to my chief. Well, the chief didn't want to hear that. So me being the not so smart person, I asked a couple of my shipmates to stand in for me, and I gave them my ID, which wasn't a good idea either. Long story short, I came back from vacation, or from the weekend that Sunday, and yeah, Monday I was down in the captain's office, and he said, I can charge you with AWOL, this, that, and the other. He goes, but you know what? I'm not going to do it. This is going to be a learning lesson, and you're going to lose all your Liberty chits and civilian clothes chits and stand extra duties. He goes, but these other guys that stood in for you, they were true shipmates. Nothing happens to them because they were trying to help you out. So it was a real lesson that I needed to be more of a team player and do what the military. That's when I learned it's just not me anymore. So after that, I never had any trouble. Never got written up again.
So, once you finished Corps school, did you get a chance to come home for a week or two?
We did after we were in North Carolina training with the Marines.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, well, we went there after Corps school, but training there at the time, the Gulf War, I believe, ended in really quickly. So when we graduated there, the drill instructors basically said, don't unpack your sea bags. You'll probably still go to the Gulf. So at that time, a lot of us, we didn't know what to do. And I got stationed to Portsmouth Naval Hospital. And they said, don't worry, you'll get taken out within a week. So we lived out of our barracks or our bags for about a week. And then, finally we started putting it all away. So I did not get sent over during the first Gulf War, but took care of my first duty station in Portsmouth was on an orthopedic floor. So I took care of some of the injured soldiers that came back from there, and but we took care of mostly motorcycle accidents. And after taking care of them, I never went on a motorcycle. It was pretty rough seeing what that did, motorcycle accident. But yeah.
From there, proceed on from that point. What happened next?
Well, so in Portsmouth Naval Hospital, I was there for, I don't know, about a year and a half, I think. And I started on the orthopedic floor, got a lot of good training there. And then they moved me to the pharmacy department. And the pharmacy department, it was a headache from the moment I started there until I left. It was so much stress because Portsmouth Naval Hospital is a huge hospital. It takes care of a lot of patients. And basically, as a corpsman, I was tasked to become a pharmacy tech. So I had to learn on-the-job training. Well, I mean, I'm only in the military just so long, and these scripts are coming with the doctors writing like these long medication names, and then literally we look on a big wall and it's just like medications names which I can't understand what they are, and you have a keypad and then a thing for you to get the meds, and it's just a big wall of meds, and you program it in and you fill it. But when you were working in the pharmacy, you were issued a number and not your name. So when something went wrong, they would scream a number. So then the pharmacy, you had to go to the pharmacist. Well, long story short, I screwed up so many scripts that I kept hearing 55, 55, 55. I hated that number. And then now it's become my favorite number. It's just the weirdest thing because I was screamed at so much because I screwed up. Finally, I got good at it. But I mean, acetaminophen, ibuprofen, it all looked the same to me. It took me a long time to learn medications, but it was a great. Those guys were fun.
Well, what I did, I made up a cheat sheet for the spelling. Yeah.
Yes, it's not easy.
It's not easy. But anyway, going on from where was your next step to from that point?
Well, this is another great thing because when we were at Portsmouth Naval Hospital, the whole world was kind of quiet at that moment. It was around 92, around, I don't know, April of 92. So not much was happening. And all of us corpsmen became kind of friends. And so there was a lot of availability in duty stations. So believe it or not, none of us wanted to be on a ship. Navy guys not wanting to be on a ship. So we said, let's eliminate all ships. So then, you know, they give you the billets, and there was all these spots available for Hawaii, the hospital in Hawaii. Well, everyone's like, yeah, let's go there. Well, you had to give an extra year. You know, you re-up 3 years for a Hawaii thing. And I said, no, I'm getting out in 2 years. I don't want to do that. They're like, come on, it's Hawaii. I said, no. I said, Camp Pendleton in California has openings for all of us. I said, why don't we go to Camp Pendleton? And I said, we can fly to Hawaii. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump. So me, being the negotiator, convinced all of them of my bullshit. So they decided that, yeah, we'll go to Camp Pendleton with the Marines. We're trained. Why not? And so I said, to sweeten the pot, I said, let's make a road trip of it. You know, let's meet and then just drive cross country. I said, it'll be fun. We're all from different places. So that's what we did. And like me and my buddy Joe Fiscus left Rochester, his home, and then we went to Newark, Ohio, picked up John Luby, and then a guy from Maine and his cousin came down, and we went to Richmond, Indiana, picked up another guy. Then we just seen the country. And you know, I know my family would hate me for saying this, but it still ranks as the greatest trip of my entire life, the greatest vacation that I ever went on. I still remember it to this day, and so many great things. Got to see the Arch in St. Louis, the Grand Canyon, Vegas, everything. And I was the only 121, so I got to buy all the beer, and it was just a fun trip. So, yeah, we did all that, and then arrived to Camp Pendleton, and we checked in. The trip was around a week and a half, or whatever. And one of the unfortunate things happened is my car broke down, and we actually had to U-Haul it from Denver down all the way to California. But when we got to the Grand Canyon, idiots that we slept in the back of the U-Haul and cranked it open with someone's suitcase. So, you know, that could have easily slammed shut, and my wife always yells about that, you know. So, but still the greatest trip, and such foolishness. So
Arriving in Camp Pendleton, we'll pick it up from there. So
when we went to check in at Camp Pendleton, we were all assigned with the 1st FSSG, which is the First Force Service Support Group in Camp Pendleton. And we started getting settled in there, and within 6 months, because we got there in June, middle of June, within 6 months we were all of us that could have went to Hawaii were shipped to Africa, Somalia. So they never ever have forgotten to remind me we could have been in Hawaii, but we're now in Africa. So that was, I took the heat pretty good for there. But I don't know, it was the right thing to do. So I thought, but maybe not.
So some of your duties at Camp Pendleton with your unit, did you just go out maneuvers with them, or were you in the hospital?
We were in the field. I was at a battalion aid station until we deployed. And what was great about the Marines, boy, they loved to train corpsmen to do just about everything a Marine did. So I volunteered for everything. Like I became a Humvee driver, and I learned so much about what a Humvee can and can't do. The military grade, not the ones that people drive in the commercials, but the military one is unbelievable. They go up, they go down, hills, mountains without tumbling. They go into the sea. They do so many great things. That was awesome training. I became an EMT. an ambulance driver, and also a forklift driver, which really came in handy when we deployed because I didn't have to do anything but use the forklift and move all the crates and stuff. So that was nice.
So, I assume you flew over to Africa?
Oh my God, yeah. We when we got word somewhere at the end of November of '92, there was whispers about some skirmishes going on over in Somalia, Africa, but we didn't really know much about it. Finally, they had a big meeting and said, go and contact your loved ones. You'll be leaving within a week. And so we all tried to figure out where the hell Somalia, Africa was. And so we could tell our parents at least where we were going. But we didn't really have much time. We had to do so many vaccinations. We had to give and receive and get everybody up and ready for the deployment. So when you're getting ready to deploy, boy, things move fast. I was so impressed at how quickly our military gets us where we need to go. But when we left Camp Pendleton, we left on a commercial airline called Tower Air. It's a defunct airline now, but the nickname we all gave it was Terror Air because it was some of the worst flying. I was so scared flying over to Somalia. We took off and it was not a good plane. The bins would pop open, duffel bags would fall. In all this chaos of flying over, you have the corpsmen all wearing their 9mm on the plane, and the Marines all had their M16s on the plane, not loaded, but like, think about that. In '92, we did that with a commercial airliner. So then we flew into, from Camp Pendleton, we flew to JFK, got out, stretched our legs, and then we flew to Shannon, Ireland, and our CO, which was a super cool guy, I can't remember his name, but he bought all of us that were 21. We landed in Shannon, Ireland. He bought us all a Guinness. He goes, I want you all to drink an authentic Irish beer because you probably won't be drinking for a while after the deployment or during the deployment. So he bought us all this Guinness, and I looked at it. I've drank a lot of beer in my time, but I looked at this Guinness, and it looked like oil. I'm like, ugh. And I took a sip of it, and it was warm. I'm like, you kidding me? And the CO smiling and drinking it. He loves it. I pretended to love it, but boy, that was something else. I've drinking Guinness since, but that was my first time there. And then from Shannon, Ireland, we flew into Egypt, and we weren't allowed on board there because there's too many death threats against us, the Americans. So then we flew into Mogadishu, Somalia, landed at the port of Mogadishu, and our very first duty station was this old warehouse at the port, but it was filled with a lot of filth, a lot of human excrement and urine and animal stuff. So we just cleaned it the best we could that first day in and put up cots, slept in it, and then the next day we all had to finish sterilizing or cleaning it. And that was my first taste of a true deployment. Like, this isn't going to be easy. So, we did that on our first couple weeks, and we all took turns patrolling the port of Mogadishu. There was usually 2 Marines and a corpsman, or 1 corpsman, 1 Marine, and we all walked around. And one of the days I was walking around, we have our MREs and everything, and there was this little Somali girl at the front of our base, right behind some of our bars, and she just looked like very sickly, starving. So I handed her my MRE, opened it up, and gave it to her. And it just so happened that the Associated Press was there at the time, took a picture of me, and it actually got circulated throughout the country. And my parents ended up getting the paper and got it framed, and I'm actually loaning it now to the Butler VA for display. But yeah, I have like a picture of it here, just a black and white copy of it. But it was something that at least my parents could see I was doing some good for these starving people. So that was one of the things that happened very soon after getting there. And then another incident in that first duty station was there was a Somali child that was hit by a NATO truck, and he was brought to our battalion aid station, and we took care of him, and we were supposed to transport him back outside our gate and drop him off so they could, his people could take him and maybe take him to their hospital. Well, long story short, we get him down to the ground. Well, he starts hemorrhaging. His leg was really badly. I mean, he was in bad shape. He had a skull fracture, but we stabilized him, and they thought he could be taken to their hospital. But we lowered him down. It was me, another corpsman, and we had 3 Marines. And the Marines set up like a perimeter, kneeling with their weapons. And as we're trying to take care of this kid, we look up, and there was just a mob of Somalis coming at us, and rocks and everything. But I felt safe enough with the Marines around us, and we made the decision we had to bring him back. Long story short, he ended up surviving, and I ended up getting, along with the other people on that little trip, a letter of appreciation from the people of Somalia for saving that kid's life, and then accommodation from the Marine Corps for that. So both of those I gave to the Butler VA also for a loan and display, because I think
I'll try to get them into this.
Yeah, I have copies. So that was like my first duty station. When you're in Somalia, you kind of got bounced around to different duty stations. And the first duty station was the Port of Mogadishu. Then I went to what was called the Gulf Course, and that was another big battalion aid station. Had Army, Navy, Air Force, all in there. But in that area, we sustained a lot of ammunition fire at us from the Somalis and the warlords. So we had to dig a whole bunch of foxholes, and I got a ton of great pictures of us. Like, it didn't matter if you were medical or not. You did exactly what the Marines did, and I got so used to just, doing exactly what they did. It was something that I was used to. So we did that, and then at that duty station there was also there were like shallow graves in the back of the golf course, and we later found out that that's where they were burying some of the dead from their wars and stuff like that. And so that was a little tough to see. Whenever the wind would blow it away, you'd see half buried, maybe kids and adults. But one of the nice things that we did was we went to a lot of orphanages and helped give dental care and medical care. Have some great memories of that, some pictures also. There was a time when we got my last and final duty station in Somalia was called like the shower point, and that's kind of like the end area, staging and loading vehicles. But when we were there, we got to explore more of the countryside, and there was this half-sunken ship at that last duty station, and got to, like idiots, swim out to the ship, climb up onto it. Marines, corpsmen, yeah, and it's shark-infested water, which we didn't really realize until later. And then we're all jumping off the ship from fire. Well, I did too, and when I landed, I had everything tight except for this last thumb, and yeah, it's like hitting cement, the water, so that didn't feel too good. Coming up, bleeding a little bit, they're all screaming at me. Sharks can smell blood a mile away, get out of the water. They didn't care about my health. They just cared about themselves. But yeah, and there was a couple times where we got I volunteered for a ton of convoys in Somalia, because I was trying to convince more of the single men, because I was single, that let the single guys go out more than the married guys. And then there came a time when they asked for volunteers to stay, because they thought it would be a shorter deployment, so some of the people could go home. And me being who I am, I convinced a lot of my corpsman friends that were single to stay. So I volunteered to stay longer with them. And sometimes you wish you didn't do stuff, because that's when a lot of the worst stuff happened to me over in Somalia, get like ambushed and stuff like that. So, but I'm still glad I did it, because we're still doing the right thing by helping. It just turned into a different kind of
Remember the
operation.
first time you heard rounds go over your head? Or
Oh.
by you?
Oh my God, yeah. It was when we got ambushed. Our car was the last in the convoy, and it got separated. And I mean, they set tires on fire. We had to go through that. There was bullets flying. It was so chaotic. And my driver, Corporal Shields, he just, at the time, the Hummer didn't have any windows, and we had no canopies, nothing. So we're wide open. We're getting hit from everywhere, and you're driving through the streets of Mogadishu, the marketplace. And if you've seen the movie Black Hawk Down, they do a pretty good adaptation of the market and how tight it is. And that's how it was. And you would see people up in the buildings with AK-47s. There was mobs always with AK-47s. So we were getting shot at a lot, but like, you just, I don't know what it is. It's just like whatever the Marines trained you in Camp Lejeune, it comes back to you like that. Like I don't know. I thought I did well under pressure, and I don't know. That's why I like going on convoys. The action, I guess, but
The adrenaline rush.
yes, yeah. I knew I was doing good. I could help people. I knew I was doing good. So, and then one other thing, and then I'll jump out of Somalia, but we were on a convoy one time, and NBC was doing a story on insects of Somalia, and they happened to be on this large convoy, and a Marine, probably screwing around, got bit by a spider, so they stopped the whole thing, and I had to go out and to examine him with the cameras. Now, I'm not used to cameras around, and so I treat them, and then they interview me, and all my corpsman friends always joke to me about what I said. I said, yeah, we're looking at his leg, making sure there's no red streaks for cellulitis, all the normal things. I said, if it gets that way and it keeps going up, he could die. And then they're like, so you went from a red line to dying in the same sentence. So I never heard the end of that one. So that's kind of fun. You got to laugh at yourself whenever you're being interviewed by like professional reporters and you screw up something. I think that's kind of funny. So.
Any other particular things about Somalia? The smell?
Oh, well, yeah, the smell for sure. The smell of like burnt bodies is something you can't get out of your nostrils even to this day. I do have flashbacks, and the worst part is the smells. And it could be just driving down 79 or 19, a smell,
Yeah.
something, and boom, I'm back there driving through the marketplace or the side of the road, because they left their dead everywhere. So it was a little rough. But one thing that I cherish was about a week in being in Somalia, doing our patrols. I was walking at night one time, and the Seabees, God bless them, I love them. They finally got our showers up, and the guy's like, he came to me and he said, "Hey, you're on patrol. You want to get the first shower?" I said, "No." I said, "They're up though?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, so I went over to my commanding officer. I woke him up, and he said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Nothing, sir. Nothing, sir. The showers are up. I'm waking you up so you could go grab the first shower and take as long as you want." He looked at me with the biggest smile on his face. He goes, "Farmerie, I'm not going to ever forget this." And he got his stuff. Took like an hour. I don't know how long. I was so happy for him. And then in the morning, we all got to do our showers. he smiled at me and he said, "I'm good. Let all the other people shower." And he did remember it, because I got myself in a hairy situation at one time, and I called in a favor, and he helped me. So I wish I could remember his name, but he was such a great guy. I wanted to do something very nice for him. Didn't think anything in return, but when I was put in a bad spot, I did kind of cash it in. And that's the one thing I like about the military, man. They don't forget and they help each other. It didn't matter. He was my commanding officer and I was just a little enlisted E3. It didn't matter. It was just, that's what I love about the military.
You didn't, with your doctors, you didn't run into the doctors with, I'm the greatest attitude?
There was only one surgeon that really felt like he shouldn't do anything, like dig foxholes or anything. And I get it, he's a surgeon. He probably shouldn't do that, but you could do something to help, like not just lay in your bunk and call me when someone needs surgery, But most of them, I tell you, the best corpsman I ever trained under was Wendy Fisher. She became, I think, a master HM or something. I can't remember her rank when she got out, but she was the one who taught me how to suture the Somalis' head in particular. Their skin is so burnt and hardened. She told me what needle to use to close head wounds as opposed to a leg wound, and she was vital. She was the coolest person, and she just, if you wanted to do it, she taught you it, and if you screwed up, she didn't make you feel bad about it. But yeah, Wendy Fisher, she was awesome. I remember her. She was a big influence on me.
Does anything else come to mind?
While there?
Yeah. I don't mean to put pressure on you.
No. I there was a lot of like funny things that we did some cliff diving again, unbeknownst to us, about all the sharks that were supposed to be around. Great pictures of us just jumping off. The Marines themselves, I love them, and without them, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have two beautiful children of my own, two stepchildren. I just wouldn't have that. I was under bad circumstances, and they saved my ass, and they saved I saved them too. So
yeah,
I guess it
I
goes
still
both
find
ways.
myself, again, when there's a Marine around, I find myself helping him. It's just something that's in you.
I love my Marines.
Yeah.
I just love them.
Once you've completed that tour, you came back home then?
I did. We flew in. So we volunteered to stay, and we were there for an extra couple months. I can't remember. I think I left in early December and got home end of April. And it was, it was the coolest thing when we finally arrived to Camp Pendleton. Our commanding officer, when we did our first formation, he asked for all the volunteers that went to Somalia to stand in front of the whole battalion. And he goes, I just want to tell you what these gentlemen did, what they sacrificed, so a lot of you guys didn't have to be there. He goes, you need to thank them. And he goes, he looked all at us and he goes, I'm dismissing you for a week. He goes, it's not going to be charged, just don't get arrested. So where we go? Vegas, baby, for a week. We had all that money saved up. So yeah, that was really nice. And then when we got back, he had a nice heart-to-heart with us, and he goes, listen, I don't want you boys deploying anymore because, we are the 1st FSSG. He goes, we're going to transfer you to maintenance battalion. So we ended up, all of us that were there ended up in different areas in maintenance battalion in Camp Pendleton. So it was nice. It was easy. It was still Marine Corps doing all that jazz, but it was a little bit more fun because maintenance battalion got to go out into like San Diego. We did a mock triage so the public could see. It was really neat. we got to do. I got to be the corpsman on explosive ordnance, like blowing up things, and just in case the Marines blew themselves up. So I was there for that. I mean, I volunteered for everything. I had such a, I don't know, fun time, I guess. But I was getting out. I wanted to go to the service. And while I was at Camp Pendleton, I started my college career. I started classes at Palomar while at Camp Pendleton. And because I was being deployed in early December, my finals weren't going to be until like the second week in January or in December. So all the instructors were very nice and let me take my tests early, and I got my grades and everything. But I mean, it helped me. All those transferred to my college that I ended up getting my nursing degree from. So, but I was kind of motivated when I was. I mean, maybe I grew up. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Which is needed
Yes.
today. But so, did you redeploy again, or did you check out?
No, I ended up getting out after 4 years. And when I got out, before I got out in '93, I married my high school sweetheart. It was in '93 in August, so like soon after I got out from being deployed, which probably wasn't I wasn't in the best headspace, obviously. But married her, and then when I got out, I went to nursing school full time, and I worked full time as a nurse aide. Graduated, and then started working as a nurse at a nursing home. That was my very first job. And then my son came along in 2000, Nicholas James, and then 9/11 happened, and I remember that distinctly because at the time I left the nursing home job and I was working as a nurse in the Department of Corrections for Pennsylvania. So I was a prison nurse. Again, I think I still needed that excitement and adrenaline in working in corrections. We had everything from killings, suicides, drug overdoses, everything. So I really felt in my element there. But yeah, my son was born in 2000, and I also took care of, unless they do an execution, Pennsylvania does an execution. While I was at SCI Pittsburgh, State Corrections Institute Pittsburgh, it's closed now. I did take care of the last guy that was ever executed in Pennsylvania. He was one of my patients. So I don't know if I should say his name, but he's been executed. And then I also did a lot of intakes on inmates that ended up going to death row. So like I have a variety of clientele that I've taken care of. But yeah, I did corrections for a lot of years. I retired because they closed my prison twice. They closed it once. I left. I went up to SCI Mercer, and then I went to a nursing home for the veterans, not our CLC center, but Southwest Veterans Center. It's a nursing home for vets that don't have a lot of money, and so I worked there, and it was still part of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So I worked at Southwest Veterans Center taking care of vets there. And then the prison reopened, so I went back to the prison and stayed there. And then finally it closed for real in 2017. Long story short, I ended up retiring from Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And then I kind of moved on, became a dialysis nurse. I also, during the pandemic, I was working for a dialysis unit, and I volunteered to go to Jersey when they had the big flare-ups of COVID and stuff. Because again, like at that time, my mom's already passed, but like I said, she was such an influence in me being in the medical field. I felt like I needed to do even more. So I volunteered to go to New Jersey, got a New Jersey nursing license, and I worked in a dialysis unit there for a little while. Came back, And then I ended up here at the Butler VA working as a psych nurse, behavioral health nurse, really, until I ended up having to retire officially due to some health issues. So, but all the way along the way, I ended up divorcing my first wife, but I met a wonderful woman. She had two other children, Michaela and Sean, and we ended up getting along greatly and married, and this will be our 20th year together. And super proud of every one of the kids because, my main thing was I always wanted the kids to do better than me educationally and everything. So, I got my nursing degree, but all the kids have higher degrees than me, which makes me very proud. Like they either have bachelor's or a master's, stuff like that. So to me, they're all four successful kids, and to me, I did my job then, and my wife as well, my current wife. But yeah, I can go into different details of what I did in those jobs, but
Let's start back at the prison. Anything really stand out in your mind besides one gentleman, the last execution in Pennsylvania?
Yeah. Well, there was an incident that another nurse helped me on. An inmate attempted to kill himself, but I was the first on response. I was able to kind of wrap his wrists, get him cleaned up, transfer him down to our triage area in the prison, and then send him out. Did save his life, and I did get recognized by the superintendent and the head of our the nursing department. But the thing about corrections is it's a different animal, and you either can do it or you can't. It's so stressful. So we would often play practical jokes on each other and just dumb stuff. So, you wouldn't think like toileting someone's car, you could do that at a prison, but we did, and I did it to one of the other nurses, and unfortunately it rained that night. So yeah, boy, he was pissed. So, but yeah, we did stuff like that all the time to try to break the monotony. Unfortunately, with working in corrections, there's a reason why they give you 20 years and you can retire as because it's so stressful. And unfortunately, I did lose a few people from suicide, nurses and corrections officers due to, it's a high stress thing, and there's counseling, but a lot of people don't like doing that. But I always tried to push counseling on people if things were bad. If it wasn't for counseling, I don't even know if I'd still be here. So, the VA pretty much saved my life too.
So, your children, college, and now what are you doing to occupy your time?
Well, as far as the children, the oldest, Michaela, she works as a project manager with the Children's Museum. So she travels a lot with their exhibits. And Sean, he works for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. He's also an Air Force veteran. He's 30, and he's doing great. And then Nicholas is 26, and he's living in North Carolina. And what's nice is part of me now being retired is I can travel and visit people. So we take trips to see him in North Carolina, and then Olivia, the youngest, she's finishing up her master's in Iowa. So then we take trips to Iowa. But Michaela and Sean live near us, so we watch Sean's dog. So that's right now our grand doggy. We don't have any grandkids yet, but I do a lot of dog sitting. I read. I I do a lot of walking because I've had 3 back surgeries, so I can't do a lot of physical like lifting. I used to lift weights, so my best exercise now is doing a lot of walking, which I do. I live in Harmony, so we have the Harmony Trail, we have Harmony, we have Zilly. It's all kind of flat, nice, easy walking. I also belong to the Veterans Initiative Program here at the VA. Kind of do that once a week. I've done Guitars for Vets. I'm currently in a pen and pencil group, writing stories and maybe a memoir. So I keep fairly active. So
Well, at this point, I'd like to thank you for your service to this nation.
thank you.
Thank you very much.